Frank Miller wiped his hands on his apron and looked at the clock on the wall. 3 hours until the most important dinner in human history. No pressure. The kitchen aboard the USS Horizon was small but efficient, just like the military kitchens Frank had worked in for 15 years. But this was different. Tonight he would serve the first meal humans ever shared with members of the Galactic Council. "Chef, the ambassador wants to know if everything is on schedule," said Olivia Patterson, his assistant chef. Her voice sounded tense. Frank nodded. "Tell her we're good to go. The pasta is ready, sauce is simmering, and bread is in the oven." He had kept the menu simple. Pasta with a light garlic sauce, fresh bread, and a small salad. Nothing fancy. Nothing that could go wrong. Or so he thought. Admiral Lisa Jones entered the kitchen. Her uniform was perfect, not a wrinkle in sight. "Miller, I can't stress how important this dinner is," she said. "These aliens have never met humans before. All they know is that we come from what they call a death world, a planet with high gravity, extreme weather, and dangerous wildlife." Chew smiled. "Don't worry, Admiral. Food brings people together. Even alien people, I bet." The Admiral did not return his smile. "These beings have different biology. Their home planets have 1/3 Earth's gravity. Their bodies are more fragile. Just be careful." After she left, Frank tasted the sauce one more time. It needed something. He added a pinch of black pepper and a bit more garlic. Perfect. At exactly 1800 hours, 7 alien diplomats entered the dining room. Frank watched them through the kitchen window. They were tall and thin with blue-gray skin that seemed almost transparent. Their fingers were long and had an extra joint. Their eyes were large and dark. The head diplomat, who had introduced himself as High Counselor Zev, spoke in a musical voice that the translator converted to English. "We are honored to share nutrition with Earth representatives," he said. Admiral Jones smiled. "The honor is ours, High Counselor. Our chef has prepared traditional human food for this occasion." Frank and Olivia served the meal. The aliens watched carefully as the humans demonstrated how to twirl pasta on a fork. The diplomats copied the motion with their long fingers. Frank returned to the kitchen feeling proud. First contact was going well, then the screaming started. Frank rushed back to the dining room. 3 of the alien diplomats were on the floor. Their skin had turned a deep purple. Another was coughing violently. "What's happening?" Admiral Jones shouted. High Counselor Zev backed away from the table. "Poison! We are attacked!" No, Frank said. "It's just pasta." The aliens who could still stand pulled out small devices and scanned the food. The devices made loud warning sounds. "Capsaicin detected. Allicin compounds. Multiple chemical irritants," one of them said, voice shaking. Their medical team rushed in, wearing what looked like hazard suits. They sprayed the affected diplomats with a clear liquid. The purple color slowly faded from their skin. High Counselor Zev pointed at Frank. "Your chef brought weapons to a diplomatic dinner." "They're just spices," Frank explained. "Black pepper, garlic, basic ingredients." "Toxic compounds," the alien corrected. "What you call basic ingredients are caustic to our systems." The alien medical team leader approached Admiral Jones. "We must examine your food preparation area immediately. It may be contaminated." Before Frank could protest, 6 aliens in protective suits invaded his kitchen. They scanned everything, placing warning labels on most of his ingredients. "Class 3 chemical weapon," one said, pointing at the salt. "Class 2 biological toxin," another said, scanning the garlic. "Potential neural disruptor," a third announced, holding up the pepper grinder as if it might explode. Frank watched in horror. As they sealed his spice rack in a containment field, the medical team leader showed Admiral Jones a holographic report. "According to our analysis, your chef attempted to serve compounds that would cause extreme distress to our digestive and respiratory systems." "It wasn't intentional," Admiral Jones said firmly. "On Earth, these substances are completely safe for human consumption." The alien looked at Frank with new interest. "You regularly consume these irritants, by choice?" Frank nodded. "Yes. They taste good to us. Fascinating and disturbing. The alien made notes on a device. Your species must have evolved remarkable internal defenses. After the aliens left, taking samples of Frank's ingredients, for further study, Admiral Jones called an emergency meeting in the ship's conference room. That could have gone better, she said to the assembled human team. Frank stood at attention, expecting to be dismissed from duty. Instead, Admiral Jones turned to him with a thoughtful expression. Miller, the council has actually requested your help. My help? After I nearly killed their diplomats? Once they realized you weren't trying to poison them, they became scientifically curious, she explained. They've classified humans as biological anomalies due to our ability to eat what they consider dangerous substances. She showed him a message on her tablet. The council has proposed a cultural exchange. They want to understand how we can safely adapt human cuisine for interspecies consumption. So I'm not being court-martialed? Frank asked. Quite the opposite. You're being reassigned. The Galactic Council has invited you to their culinary academy. You'll be Earth's first culinary diplomat. Frank blinked in surprise. Me? But I just caused an interspecies incident. Which makes you uniquely qualified, Admiral Jones said. If we want a seat at the galactic table, we need to prove we're not walking biological hazards. Your new mission is to demonstrate that human cuisine can be adapted for alien consumption. 2 days later, Frank and Olivia stood in the kitchen packing specialized containers with Earth ingredients. Each container bore warning labels in multiple languages. I still can't believe black pepper is considered a dangerous substance, Olivia said, sealing a small vial of the spice. Frank shook his head. If they think pepper is bad, wait until they discover hot sauce. Do you think we can really do this? Olivia asked. Create human food that won't send aliens to the emergency room? Frank looked at the labeled containers. Everything in a Deathworlder's kitchen was now classified as a chemical weapon. But maybe that wasn't entirely a bad thing. We come from Earth, he said. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us daily, and we responded by eating the spiciest things we could find and calling it delicious. If anyone can figure this out, it's us. As the USS Horizon approached the massive Nexus station where the Galactic Culinary Academy was located, Frank felt a mix of worry and excitement. He had never expected to become an interstellar diplomat. But here he was, about to teach a kitchen full of aliens that human food wasn't just dangerous. It was also worth the risk. Frank Miller and Olivia Patterson stood in the arrival bay of Nexus Station, home to the Galactic Culinary Academy. They wore standard Earth uniforms, but everyone else in the massive docking area wore environmental protection suits when approaching them. I feel like we have the plague, Olivia whispered. Frank nodded. Remember what Admiral Jones said. They're not being rude. They're just scared of us. A tall, thin alien approached them. Unlike the others, this alien wore only a breathing mask rather than a full suit. The translator on Frank's collar activated. Welcome to Nexus Station. I am High Chef Vexalor, Director of the Galactic Culinary Academy. You must be the humans. Chief Petty Officer Frank Miller, sir. This is Specialist Olivia Patterson. Thank you for having us. Vexalor's large eyes blinked rapidly. Your case is unique. In 5,000 years, we have never admitted students classified as biological hazards. But the Council believes cultural understanding starts with food. The alien handed them each a small device. These are your personal containment field generators. You must activate them when handling your Earth ingredients. Frank took the device. So we need to wear a force field when we cook? Yes. Your ingredients have been stored in our hazardous materials section. Follow me. As they walked through the station, aliens of various shapes and sizes moved away from them. Some pointed and whispered. Frank heard the translation of one conversation. Those are Deathworlders. They eat poison for pleasure. The academy was enormous. Hundreds of cooking stations were arranged in a circle, with students from dozens of species working at them. A large screen above each station showed what the chef was preparing. High Chef Vexalor led them to a separate room marked with warning symbols. This will be your work area, the alien said. It has special ventilation to prevent your food molecules from entering the main academy air supply. Olivia looked at the sealed containers that held their Earth ingredients. Each bore multiple warning labels. How are we supposed to teach anyone about our food if they're afraid to come near it? She asked. You will prepare demonstration meals using our dilution systems, Vexilor explained, pointing to some complex equipment. These will allow other species to experience your flavors at 1,000th normal concentration. 1,000th? Frank asked. Will they even taste anything? To most species, even that would be extremely strong, Vexilor said. Now, your schedule begins tomorrow at first bell. You will have 3 standard cycles to develop safe versions of your cuisine before the exchange program officially begins. After the high chef left, Frank and Olivia unpacked their equipment. This is going to be harder than I thought, Olivia said. Frank opened one of the containers and took out a clove of garlic. The warning label classified it as a Class 2 biological toxin. Let's start simple, he said. If we can make garlic bread that doesn't send anyone to the medical bay, that's a win. The next morning, they donned their containment field generators. The fields glowed slightly blue around them as they worked. Their first attempt at garlic bread was a disaster. Even diluted to 1,000th strength, the sample made the testing robot shut down from sensory overload. By the end of the week, they had made progress. Their garlic bread, now diluted to 1/10,000th of normal concentration, was declared extremely potent but non-lethal by the Academy's testing team. A few braver alien students began watching their demonstrations from a safe distance. One of them, a squid-like being named Glur, approached their workstation after class. Is it true, Glur asked through the translator, that humans put crushed plant seeds on their nutrition for no medical reason? You mean pepper? Frank asked. Yes, the black neurological stimulant. We just call it a spice, Frank explained. It makes food taste better. Glor's tentacles rippled in what Frank assumed was disbelief. And the red crystalline oil that causes tissue inflammation. Hot sauce, Olivia said with a smile. That's for when regular food is too boring. Fascinating, Glor said. Your species seeks out pain during nutrition consumption. It's not pain to us, Frank tried to explain. It's excitement. Word spread through the Academy about the strange Deathworlders and their toxic cuisine. More alien students began observing their classes, though always from behind protective barriers. Then came the incident that changed everything. 3 weeks into their stay, a power failure hit the station. The environmental systems faltered, causing temperature fluctuations throughout the Academy. Frank and Olivia were in their kitchen when emergency alerts sounded. They rushed to the main hall to find chaos. Several alien species were in distress, their bodies unable to handle the sudden cold. The Florians are freezing to death, someone shouted. Their metabolism cannot generate enough heat. The Florians were plant-based beings from a warm planet. They lay on the floor, their green skin turning brown at the edges. Frank looked at Olivia. Capsaicin. What? She asked. Capsaicin increases blood flow and raises body temperature, he said, already running back to their kitchen. It might help them. They grabbed several sealed containers of earth spices. When they returned, the medical team was working desperately to save the Florians. We might be able to help, Frank told the head medic, but you need to trust us. The medic looked desperate. Whatever you're planning, do it quickly. Frank and Olivia mixed cayenne pepper into a solution, diluting it to what they hoped was a safe level for alien biology. They sprayed the mixture onto the Florian's skin. The effect was immediate. The Florian's color improved as their circulation increased in response to the capsaicin. By the time the power was restored, Frank and Olivia had helped save 3 different species using various combinations of earth spices. Cayenne for the Florians, peppermint oil for the overheating Volans, and ginger extract for the nauseous trills affected by gravity fluctuations. When High Chef Vexilor found them, they were administering diluted vanilla extract to calm a group of anxious Malorians. What are you doing? Vexilor demanded. Helping, Frank said simply. The Academy's medical director approached. These humans saved at least 12 lives today. Their toxic substances have remarkable medicinal properties when properly administered. High Chef Vexilor looked at Frank and Olivia with new respect. It seems we have misjudged your ingredients. Perhaps what is poison to one might be medicine to another. The next day, Frank and Olivia found themselves moved from the hazardous materials section to a new laboratory built specially for them. It was labeled Xenopharmacological Gastronomy. What does that mean? Olivia asked. Frank smiled. I think it means they don't see us as walking biohazards anymore. They see us as walking pharmacies. As more alien students signed up for their classes, Frank realized they had turned a corner. Humanity's deadly cuisine was becoming the Academy's most popular subject. And Frank, who had nearly caused an interspecies incident with pasta sauce, was now teaching the galaxy how human food could heal as well as harm. 6 months had passed since Frank and Olivia arrived at the Galactic Culinary Academy. What began as isolation in the hazardous materials section had evolved into something unexpected. Their classroom was now filled with curious students from across the galaxy, all eager to learn about Earth cuisine with its strange dual nature as both potential toxin and medicine. Frank was demonstrating how to safely prepare a diluted version of apple pie when High Chef Vexilor entered the room. The students stood at attention. At ease, Vexilor said. I bring important news. The Academy has announced the Centennial Galactic Cuisine Competition. Excited murmurs filled the room. Frank had heard about this event from other instructors. It happened once every 100 years and was the most prestigious cooking contest in the known galaxy. For the first time, Vexilor continued, representatives from Earth will be allowed to compete. The room went silent. All eyes turned to Frank and Olivia. Us? Olivia asked. But we've only been here 6 months. The Council believes it would demonstrate true cultural exchange, Vexilor explained. Of course, all your ingredients must pass safety protocols, and no dish may exceed level 2 toxicity for any participating species. After Vexilor left, Frank and Olivia looked at each other. This is our chance, Frank said. If we can create something that showcases Earth flavors without sending anyone to the medical bay, it could change how the galaxy sees humans. But how? Olivia asked. Our competitors have been doing this for centuries. Chef Zix from Proxima Centauri can create dishes that last for years without spoiling, and that team from Tau Ceti can literally taste their food with their minds. Frank nodded. We can't beat them at their own game, but they can't beat us at ours either. No one knows Earth flavors like we do. They spent weeks planning their strategy. Their solution was elegant. Special utensils that could deliver precise, molecule-by-molecule seasoning. Each diner would receive exactly the concentration their biology could handle. We need a signature dish, Frank said one evening as they worked late in their lab. Something that shows what Earth cooking is all about. Balance, Olivia suggested. Earth food is about balance, sweet and sour, spicy and cool, soft and crunchy. Frank snapped his fingers. That's it. We'll create a dish with elements from all 5 basic tastes humans recognize. We'll call it Terran Harmony. Their creation took shape over the next month. The base was a rice-like grain native to Nexus that was safe for all known species. On top were 5 distinct components, each representing a taste. Sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. Each component contained Earth ingredients at carefully controlled concentrations. Black pepper, garlic, lemon, sugar, and mushroom extract were all present, but diluted to safe levels for alien consumption. The day before the competition, Frank and Olivia tested their dish one final time. Perfect, Frank said after tasting. Not quite like home cooking, but it captures the essence. Do you think we have a chance? Olivia asked. Against chefs who can manipulate molecular structures with their minds? Probably not. But that's not why we're doing this. Why are we doing it then? Frank smiled. To show the galaxy that human food isn't just dangerous, it's also wonderful. The competition arena was enormous. Thousands of spectators from hundreds of species filled the viewing areas. 40 cooking stations were arranged in a circle, each representing a different world or system. Frank and Olivia took their place at the station marked Earth. The competitors around them were using technology far beyond what humans had developed. One chef was cooking with controlled antimatter reactions. Another used gravitational fields to layer ingredients in impossible patterns. "Welcome to the Centennial Galactic Cuisine Competition," announced the Master of Ceremonies. "You have 3 standard hours to prepare your signature dish. Begin now." Frank and Olivia moved with practiced precision. They had rehearsed every step dozens of times. While other competitors used spectacular techniques, the humans worked with simple tools and careful measurements. 2 hours into the competition, disaster struck. Frank noticed something wrong with their measurement tools. The calibration was off. "Someone tampered with our equipment," he whispered to Olivia. "The dilution ratios are wrong." "What do we do?" Olivia asked, panicked. "If we serve this, it could make the judges sick," Frank thought quickly. "We adjust by taste. But the equipment, not the equipment, me." Frank dipped his finger into the sauce and tasted it. More dilution on the pepper component. The garlic is close but needs another 10% reduction. The alien competitors stopped to watch in horror as Frank repeatedly tasted the components, making adjustments based on his human senses. To them, it looked like he was deliberately poisoning himself. "What is the Earth chef doing?" gasped a spectator. "Testing toxins directly with his biological system," answered another. "Deathworlders are more resilient than we thought." Word spread through the arena. Soon all eyes were on the humans who dared to taste what other species considered dangerous chemicals. When time was called, 40 dishes were presented to the panel of judges. Each judge wore protective gear as they moved from station to station. At the Earth station, Frank and Olivia presented Terran Harmony. "Our dish represents the 5 basic tastes recognized by humans," Frank explained. "Each component has been carefully balanced and diluted to safe levels for consumption by all council species." The head judge, a crystalline being named Zir, approached their dish with visible caution. "We observed your unusual testing method, human chef. Most concerning." "On Earth, we say the proof is in the pudding," Frank said. "I wouldn't serve anything I wouldn't eat myself." Zir carefully sampled a tiny portion of their dish. The crystalline facets that made up its face shifted in what appeared to be surprise. "Remarkable complexity," Zir announced. "The chemical components are indeed balanced at safe levels, yet the flavor profile is unlike anything in our records." When the final results were announced, Earth had placed 3rd, an unprecedented achievement for newcomers to the competition. 3rd place, representing Earth, chefs Frank Miller and Olivia Patterson for their creation Terran Harmony, a dish that demonstrates precise chemical balance and introduces new flavor concepts to galactic cuisine. The arena filled with surprised murmurs and cautious applause. High Chef Vexlur approached them after the ceremony. "The council is impressed, not just with your cooking, but with your approach." "Our approach?" Olivia asked. "When your equipment was sabotaged, yes, we are investigating that incident. You relied on your natural abilities rather than technology. It demonstrated an adaptability we rarely see." Frank looked around at the other competitors. "We didn't win. Perhaps not the competition," Vexlur said, "but you've won something more valuable." The broadcast reached billions across council space. They saw humans not as reckless barbarians, but as careful cultural ambassadors. The High Chef handed them an official document. "The council has requested your presence at next month's diplomatic summit. They wish you to cater the event where Earth's application for associate membership will be decided." Frank stared at the document. What had begun with a disastrous pasta dinner now had the potential to secure humanity's place among the stars. "We accept," he said. The grand hall of the Galactic Council gleamed with polished metal and soft light. Delegates from 57 worlds gathered at tables arranged in a wide circle. In the center stood a serving station where Frank and Olivia had spent the last 12 hours preparing the most important meal of their lives. Admiral Lisa Jones had arrived from Earth 2 days earlier. She now wore the formal uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps as she greeted council members. "Everything ready?" she asked Frank during a quiet moment. Frank nodded, though his stomach felt tight with worry. "We've created a 12-course meal where each dish can be adjusted for each species. The serving system lets us control the concentration of every ingredient down to the molecule. Admiral Jones looked impressed. 6 months ago, you nearly caused an interspecies incident with pasta. Now you're catering for the entire council. And our membership vote happens right after dessert, Olivia added. No pressure. The first course was about to be served when a technician rushed up to Frank. We have a problem, the technician said. The molecular adjustment system is malfunctioning. We can't guarantee safe dilution levels for each species. Frank felt the blood drain from his face. How long to fix it? At least 2 hours. The dinner starts in 10 minutes, Olivia said. Frank looked at the prepared ingredients, then at the waiting council members. An idea formed in his mind. We need to change our approach, he said. Instead of trying to serve everything at diluted levels, we'll create dual menus. Dual menus? Olivia asked. We'll serve the alien safe versions as planned, but we'll also display the human versions. Not to eat, just to see. We'll turn this into an educational experience. They worked quickly, preparing small samples of each dish at full human strength. These would be sealed in clear containers for display only. The servable versions would use pre-diluted ingredients they had prepared as backup. As the delegates were seated, Admiral Jones was informed of the change in plans. She looked concerned but trusted Frank's judgment. Frank stepped into the center of the hall. Honored delegates, I am Chef Frank Miller of Earth. Tonight's meal has been prepared with respect for both our traditions and your safety. He gestured to the display table where the sealed containers of human-strength food were arranged. What you see here are samples of these dishes as they would be served on Earth. They are sealed for your protection. Beside each is the version you will actually be served, modified to be safe for all council species. Curious murmurs filled the room. Several delegates leaned forward to look at the display. Humans regularly consume these concentrations? Asked a reptilian delegate, pointing at a sample of chocolate cake. Yes, Frank said. What you see is a normal Earth dessert. The council's senior biologist, Dr. Zalon, approached the display. Unlike the other aliens, Dr. Zalon was bulkier, from a world with gravity closer to Earth's. With the council's permission, I would like to analyze these samples, Dr. Zalon said. High Counselor Zev nodded approval. Dr. Zalon took readings of each dish, his expression growing more surprised with each scan. Remarkable, he said finally. These readings suggest humans have evolved filtration and processing capabilities that are extremely rare in the galaxy. The dinner proceeded, with each course served in its safe, diluted form. But the sealed display samples became the real conversation piece. Delegates kept returning to look at them, fascinated by what humans considered normal food. The brownish liquid contains theobromine and caffeine, one delegate explained to another. Yet humans give it to children. And this one has capsaicin levels that would burn through my skin, said another. They call it mild salsa. By the time dessert was served, the mood in the hall had changed. The initial fear had been replaced by scientific curiosity. Several of the braver delegates even requested tiny samples of human-strength dishes, properly protected with neutralizing agents. Dr. Zalon approached Frank as the meal ended. Chef Miller, your species presents a fascinating biological case. Study. The compounds you routinely consume would be deadly to most council races. Is that going to hurt our membership application? Frank asked. Quite the opposite, Dr. Zalon replied. It demonstrates an evolutionary path we have not encountered before. The council values biological diversity. Frank watched as the delegates moved to the voting chamber. Admiral Jones remained behind. That was quick thinking, she told Frank. Turning a technical failure into a cultural showcase. I just hope it was enough, Frank said. 2 hours later, the council returned. High Counselor Zev stepped forward. After careful consideration, the Galactic Council has voted on Earth's application for associate membership. The room grew silent. Frank and Olivia held their breath. The vote is unanimous in favor, Zev announced. Earth is granted associate status, with a special designation for human adaptive capabilities. Cheers erupted from the Earth delegation. Admiral Jones shook hands with council members, while Frank and Olivia hugged each other in relief. As the celebration continued, Dr. Zalon approached Frank again. "I have a proposal for you, Chef Miller." "What kind of proposal?" "The council wishes to establish a permanent cultural exchange center on Nexus Station, focused on human cuisine and its properties. We would like you to lead it." Frank was stunned. "Me? I'm just a military chef." "You are the first human to successfully adapt your food for galactic consumption," Dr. Zalon said. "More importantly, you demonstrated that what some see as dangerous can also be valuable when properly understood." The next morning, Frank met with Admiral Jones to discuss the offer. "It's your decision," she said. "But having a human running a permanent installation on Nexus would be a diplomatic advantage for Earth." Frank thought about his journey from Navy cook to interstellar ambassador. "If you had told me 6 months ago that garlic bread would help secure humanity's place in the galaxy, I would have called you crazy. So you'll take the position?" Frank nodded. "Yes, but I have some conditions." He outlined his plan: a restaurant that would serve as both dining establishment and research center. Earth ingredients would be studied for their potential benefits across species. Human chefs would be trained in xenobiology, and alien chefs would learn about Earth's unique approach to food. "What will you call this place?" Admiral Jones asked. Frank smiled. "Chemical diplomacy." As Admiral Jones prepared to return to Earth with news of their successful membership in Frank's new position, she asked one final question. "Do you think the Council truly accepts us now?" Frank looked around at the station where he had once been quarantined as a biological hazard. "They're still afraid of us in a way, but now it's a respectful fear. They see that human strength properly applied can benefit everyone." He watched as a group of alien students carefully handled diluted vanilla extract, studying its properties. Sometimes being dangerous isn't such a bad thing. It just depends on how you use it. 2 years passed quickly. Frank stood at the entrance of chemical diplomacy, watching as the day's first customers arrived. What had begun as a small experimental kitchen had grown into the most popular restaurant on Nexus Station. It was also an unofficial hub for human-alien relations. "Table 4 needs more dilution cups," said Olivia, now his head chef. She had refused an offer to return to Earth, choosing instead to help build what she called the galaxy's most interesting restaurant. Frank nodded and grabbed a tray of the special cups that allowed aliens to experience human flavors at different strength levels. Each customer could adjust the intensity to their personal tolerance. "Is it true you have a new Earth spice today?" asked Glor, the squid-like being who had been their first student at the academy. Glor now worked as their alien taste consultant. "Cinnamon," Frank said. "Just arrived on the supply ship yesterday." Glor's tentacles wiggled with excitement. "The brown tree bark that burns? I must test it for the safety protocols." Frank smiled. Once feared as toxic, Earth spices were now considered exotic luxuries across Council space. Properly diluted and labeled, they commanded premium prices in galactic markets. Mint, vanilla, and capsaicin derivatives had become valued medicines and luxury items. His communication device buzzed. It was a message from Admiral Jones, now Earth's ambassador to the Council. "Frank, we need your expertise. Council Medical Center as soon as possible." He hurried to the medical center, wondering what could be so urgent. There he found Admiral Jones talking with Dr. Zalon and several other officials. "Chef Miller," Dr. Zalon said, "thank you for coming quickly. We have a situation that may require your unique knowledge." "My knowledge? I'm just a cook." "A cook who understands cross-species biochemistry better than most scientists," Admiral Jones said. "There's an illness spreading through 3 sectors, multiple species affected, no common cause found." Dr. Zalon brought up a holographic display showing affected worlds. "The symptoms vary by species, but all show signs of neurological disruption. Standard treatments have failed." Frank studied the display. "What do all these worlds have in common?" "That's the problem," Dr. Zalon said. "They don't share common food sources, atmospheres, or technologies." Frank noticed something. "These trading routes, and they all connect to the Vega system, don't they?" The doctor checked the data. Yes, that's correct. But Vega has been cleared of contamination. What about the cargo containers themselves? Frank asked. Could something be in the container coating? Dr. Zalon looked surprised. The containers are considered inert. But yes, they're manufactured in Vega. Frank remembered something from his Earth training. On Earth, we once had a problem with shipping containers releasing chemicals that affected food. The chemical wasn't harmful to humans at first, but it built up in the body over time. Tests were ordered immediately. Within hours, they had their answer. The new coating used on cargo containers from Vega slowly released a compound that was indeed harmless to most species in small amounts, but it accumulated in neural tissue over time. We found the cause, Dr. Zalon announced. But we still need a treatment for those already affected. Frank thought about it. The compound is similar to some plant alkaloids we have on Earth. We counteract those with certain spices that bind to them. Spices? Your cooking ingredients could treat this? Admiral Jones asked. Not the spices themselves, but compounds in them, Frank explained. Capsaicin bonds with certain toxins and helps the body remove them. The burning component in your peppers? Dr. Zalon asked. The one we initially classified as a biological weapon? Frank nodded. But we'd need to modify it for different species. Some would need it extremely diluted. The medical team worked with Frank for 3 days straight. They created treatments using compounds derived from paprika, adjusted for the biology of each affected species. When the first patients recovered, news spread quickly through council space. The headline on the Galactic News Network read, "Human toxic spice saves lives in multi-system medical crisis." A month later, Frank was summoned to the council chamber. There, in a formal ceremony, he was awarded the Order of Cultural Exchange, the highest civilian honor in council space. Chef Frank Miller of Earth, High Counselor Zev announced, your understanding of what your people once called simple cooking ingredients has saved thousands of lives across multiple worlds. Your kitchen, once quarantined as a danger, is now recognized as an official center for cross-species medicine and diplomacy. Frank accepted the medal with humility. On Earth, we have a saying, one person's food is another person's poison. I never understood how literal that could be until I came here. The ceremony was followed by a reception at Chemical Diplomacy. The restaurant was filled with diplomats from across the galaxy. What had once been unthinkable, aliens willingly consuming human food, was now a fashionable experience. Try this, Frank said to High Counselor Zev, offering a tiny sample of chocolate cake, diluted to 1/500th of its normal strength. The High Counselor carefully tasted it. Interesting, complex, and slightly overwhelming. 3 of these and I would need medical attention. On Earth, children eat whole slices at birthday parties, Ambassador Jones said with a smile. Remarkable, Zev replied. It seems what makes humans dangerous is precisely what makes them valuable allies. As the evening continued, Frank noticed a group of young aliens watching from the doorway. They wore the uniforms of the Academy's new xenogastronomy program. Come in, he called to them. Future chefs are always welcome here. The students entered nervously. One of them, a tall being with crystalline skin, approached Frank. Is it true that you were once considered too dangerous to cook without a containment field? The student asked. Very true, Frank said. Everything in a Deathworlder's kitchen was labeled as a chemical weapon. And now? The student asked. Frank gestured around the room where humans and aliens ate together, sharing flavors and stories. Now we understand that danger and value are often 2 sides of the same coin, he said. The same properties that make something dangerous can make it precious when used with knowledge and care. On the wall behind him hung the original warning, labels from his first days at the Academy. Next to them was the Order of Cultural Exchange. Between them stood a simple shelf holding kitchen tools, knives, spoons, measuring cups, and spice containers. Tools that had helped bridge the gap between worlds. Frank looked out at the stars visible through the station's viewport. Somewhere out there, New ships were bringing more humans to join the galactic community. They would bring their dangerous foods, their resilient bodies, and their adaptability. And thanks to what had begun in his kitchen, they would be welcomed, not with fear but with curiosity. Sometimes, Frank thought, the most powerful diplomacy happened not in grand council chambers, but in simple kitchens, one meal at a time.